everyone. We're back with Tea with Avril, and I'm sitting in a place that my heaven would look like. It's all pink and full of roses, and I just love it. And I'm so happy to meet Anelda.
Hi.
And she's from Goddess Café. This is Goddess Café in Waterkloof, Pretoria. And it's just beautiful. And I had to meet the lady that can make my heaven come true. And because of what we've been doing with Tea with Avril and wanting to just introduce you to community and what's happening in the community, I think this is I'm excited about this interview because of the pink and pink coffee. I mean, seriously, we're having pink and purple coffee. But also because, Anelda, you actually survived lockdown, and I'm like impressed. And I don't know if you can hear a little bit of what's happening, but her business is booming and it's bubbling and it's wonderful. And so, Anelda, I want to jump in and say welcome to Tea with Avril, and thank you for welcoming us into your shop.
It's my pleasure.
And
it's
into
nice
your
to have
business.
You.
And I'm excited about this. And I have to tell you, I was very brave because I don't normally talk to people. I'm very personable, so I love people, but I don't always think people necessarily want to talk to me. My mother used to say, I don't know if that lady really wants to talk to you when I was a little girl. So I was a bit worried that you were the lady that didn't want to talk to me.
Lasting impression.
Yeah. But I'm excited to be here to talk to you about Goddess Café. What excited me most in lockdown was that Goddess Café became a drive-through when you could.
Yeah, actually, lockdown was fantastic for us because we had to think fast. When we were told we were closing the doors, I wasn't going to sit at home and wait for them to open. So I started thinking about ideas, and Roadhouse always stuck with me when I was a kid.
I love it.
I loved the Roadhouse. I loved how they came and put the radio on the side.
Yes.
And fed us in our car. And the food was always great. So I decided that it's time maybe to go back to that, for parents to introduce their kids to that. And we decided it was a bit of a trial and error because we weren't sure if it should be a takeaway Roadhouse or if we're going to serve the whole restaurant in the car. So we decided we're going to serve whatever the experience is that the customer gets in the shop, we're going to serve in the car.
It is beautiful.
So it was nice. It ended up being a beautiful thing. We painted these planks pink that were the table that went through the front of the car. So anyway, we put flowers on the table in the car, and people just loved it, and the word got around, and we were just so busy.
So awesome. When I saw that, my spirit got so excited because my business was going through a transition from being a hands-on aroma beauty therapist to actually going online and becoming, like the aromatherapy know-it person, and then a shop online, and my company is called Healing Rose.
Okay.
And so can you understand why I love this? So I look at you and I think, okay, you're a businesswoman and you've got a lovely light around you and sparkle in your eyes. Why cake and coffee? Why cake shop? Why? This is decadent. I mean, it's fabulous. No.
I've already had a business like this before.
Okay.
Which was called Isabella's Cake and Food Shop.
Okay.
And it was a franchise business. We franchised into 14 stores, which didn't work out at the end of the day.
Okay.
So only because, actually for many reasons,
yes.
many reasons. So when that all sort of came apart, I stayed at home for a while, and I've always known that there's a niche for ladies. There's always been that niche,
Absolutely.
And nobody seems to have, grasped that.
Yeah.
So when the opportunity came for me to do it again, I decided.
You just grabbed it.
So I've had lots of experience in doing coffee shop and restaurant, and I wanted to open something similar but maybe nicer and better and different.
I remember Isabella's and I loved it, and I also thought to myself, Isabella's was a place where it was different to anything else that was there. And so this is to me a step up from that. So
It had to be, yeah.
literally,
It
you
had to
learned from what, and I don't call them mistakes. I just call them
No,
from
absolutely.
past experiences.
No,
That's all.
It's
So-
a wonderful. I mean, I
Yes.
probably wouldn't have done it as I have without that experience.
You know,
so there is never something. There's never in life have a regret for something that hasn't worked out. It's
Right.
actually it's a learning curve.
Yeah.
So that's what it was. For
And a
me.
lot of people actually go, oh, this is what, I'm just giving up. I'm busy working with somebody at the moment, and he's doing something, and his first product has worked out well, and now they're asking for certain things, and now he's going, oh, it's too much. You know, creatives don't always think. We did touch on it a bit earlier. You know, what has lockdown taught you, and how did you your business survive? So you went into creative mode, and you brought the experience to the people in the car.
Yeah, I think one has to be quite proactive in times like this.
Be proactive, be creative. Can't sit back and wait for the doors to open.
No.
I think one has to work out. For me, the main thing was my staff.
Yeah.
It was a case of we bent over backwards to get all the funding and the UIF, and there was an Oppenheimer fund, and
Yes.
we managed to get hold of all of it
Really?
to look after our staff.
Wonderful.
But we also just were closed for 1 month. So I think one has to be proactive. Can't sit and wait for things to happen.
Because another thing that's very important to me, and that's community. And people think, sometimes people, when you start speaking about community, people go, yeah, I get, because are you feeding every beggar on the street and that? But it's not, it's more than that. It's about your community is actually here in your shop. Yes, it's your clients, yes, it's the people around that live in this area, but in your shop you have your own business community.
Yeah.
And so that is important to keep that little community going. As you said, you were very worried about your staff.
Yeah, so I mean, between our 3 businesses that we have, we've got 50 people, 40 to 50 people working, and I'm sure that most of them are feeding 3 or 4 people and looking after 3 or 4 people at home. So that always is for me priority. It does become quite draining at times, because you are their mother, their sister, their doctor, they come to you, your staff come to you. It can be your responsibility, it doesn't have to be, but if you make it your responsibility, I think you build a very nice you build a very nice group of people.
If it's not your responsibility, then you don't get their buy-in.
Yeah.
And their buy-in is important for your business.
Yeah. For me to keep them all going, all my staff, was a big thing. And I think what's nice that came out of it is that they all really appreciated the effort that I made. They really do. I mean, they absolutely, you can see. And there's a lot of, they've become a lot more, all my staff have become a lot more grateful. All those things that they took advantage of always. They sat back and realized, you know what I've got is actually so much compared to so many people out there.
I think they were sitting at home maybe and listening to what that person lost their job, and that person didn't get this, and that person only had half their salary, and that person's children now can't go to school. I mean, I think that's a real problem.
No, absolutely. We don't even think about that when we live the way we do.
Yeah, because we live I live in a lovely house, and we also kept the people that work in my house, we kept them going also through lockdown, and if she couldn't get to the shop because she lives far away, we would send her money to pay somebody to take her safely to the shop and then she said, you know what she did, because my husband would give her a little bit extra when she went to the shop, and she bought extra, and she then would cook, because she lives in a poorer community, and she would cook something for the whole community's children.
Okay.
And so I think that's what's happening in communities nowadays.
Yeah.
We have to see gratefulness, and then we can push out other people's gratefulness.
Absolutely. So yeah, lockdown was good for us, but I think we're in a fortunate fortunate that we are not a evening trade restaurant.
Right.
I think there we were just really lucky, because I think those people really did and do that. They have taken strain.
I feel for them, and those that rely on wine and champagne. And
Yeah. So I think there we were very lucky.
I think that was brilliant of you.
Yeah. Thank you.
And so you've got this shop and South Downs. Anything more?
Yeah, so we've got Goddess Café, and then Miss Cake is our cake business, which is right next door, and that business feeds the Goddess Café with a certain range of cakes for daily, for the daily trade. And yeah, we've got our eye on opening one or two more. So yeah.
And do you manage, or do you employ managers?
Yes, so we're not in the business of franchising anymore. We want to self-own our stores now, and rather really bring the people that work for us into amazing positions, amazing responsibility.
Growing your little business.
Yeah, no, absolutely.
So you like to give your staff the opportunity to become
absolutely,
running of the kitchen.
Yeah, that's very important.
I like that. I really enjoy that.
Yeah.
And so your future looks bright, and lockdown didn't drop you.
Yeah.
It grew you.
Yeah.
And I think it's important for people out there. If you had to look at a young entrepreneur or a budding entrepreneur, because I'm actually 51.
So am I.
I'm a budding entrepreneur.
Yeah.
You've got more on me. What advice would you give to somebody? I love to hear advice. You know why? Because it's real.
Yeah.
It doesn't have to be fabulous.
Yeah.
It can be just make sure your cups are clean. You know
Yeah.
what I'm saying?
Okay, so what? Sorry, advice for someone to become an entrepreneur.
Yeah.
I think I think generally there are so many closet entrepreneurs out there that are so scared to take that step.
Yes.
It does take guts.
Yes.
A lot of people are very scared of setting themselves up for failure, because failure is a terrible thing to deal with, but it isn't really failure. It's actually just a lesson. So my advice to an entrepreneur is just go for it.
Okay.
Yeah. Try and be careful with what you're doing. Don't make silly decisions, and think things through, but just go for it. Yeah. We need entrepreneurs in this country. We're not going to get jobs any other way.
I think so. I think it's important that the mom and pop shops are going to actually undergird our economy.
Yeah. And you know what? I know, as harsh as it sounds, lockdown has been terrible for many businesses. But some of those businesses should have already been closed long ago. And I think it just gives them a reason. And it's the same with divorce. I mean, for me, there's been so many divorces in lockdown.
Yes.
Those are people that actually probably wanted to get divorced long ago, and it's the hardest thing to do, is to get divorced.
Yes.
So
you've got to make a decision.
So it has, to me, it's been a big cleanup phase, a necessary one.
I think so.
I know some people will be very upset hearing me saying that, but I think if one really thinks about it, and if you're honest with yourself, sometimes you can't get out of something. You've got a lease, you've got this, you've got that, and this has been easier. I think there's been a lot of leniency from landlords, etc.
I think that was brilliant.
So I think it's time for change. People will find new. They'll look back and say, "Why didn't I do this long ago?"
Yes.
So I see a lot of positivity in that sense.
I do too. And I think the families that could get closer did get closer.
Yeah.
Because they wouldn't have if it wasn't for lockdown.
Yeah.
Because we lived such far. So I've got 3 daughters and a husband, and it was Joburg, and we stopped living past each other.
Yeah.
And now we live with each other.
Yeah. No, that's true. Same happened in our home.
You see, and so. Yeah, my husband's still at work. I'm hoping that soon that his office will open at least one day. We've got to be very quiet, Wally.
I see. Okay.
I can work in the hubbub and the crazy.
Yeah.
I really appreciate that you allowed us to come into your
it's an absolute pleasure, and well done, because I know this has come about for you during lockdown, which is fabulous.
Yeah, I met my producer and my cameraman. He's all one person.
Yeah.
He's on one team. And we're just also having fun, and I think I'm doing what I really like to do.
Yeah.
And I think from here on, through lockdown's experiences, we are learning to do what we want to do and not what we feel we have to.
Great. Good.
I really appreciate it.
It's a pleasure.
I hope your business grows from strength to
Thank
strength.
you. I appreciate
and I
that.
pray that community flourishes.
My little community is flourishing.
Your little community is flourishing. And I thank you for
It's a
your hard
pleasure.
work and your innovation.
Thank you.
So if any of you want to drink pink coffee or purple coffee, or I don't know what other color coffees they have, and enjoy it, it smells divine. I haven't had a sip yet, which I think is a mistake. Please come and enjoy. I don't even want to say support because it's about the enjoyment, I think, for Anelda. And she invites you warmly into her shop. So, thank you, Anelda, again.
It's my pleasure.
To your wonderful store.
Thanks for having me.
Beautiful space. And we'll speak again soon, I think.
Definitely.
Thank you.
Thanks.